Welcome everyone, Joe with ECRM here at our on and off premise adult beverage session in Florida. And with me is Scott Sousa from Frenchy's and Clear Sky, which has several restaurant concepts here in Florida. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is the explosion in popularity of THC beverages, who's drinking them, different formats that are involved in that segment, and a whole bunch of stuff related to those. So, Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Just to start off, can you give everybody an overview of the restaurant chain?
So we have two concepts. Frenchy's is the most well-known restaurant group in all of Clearwater and in that area, Clearwater, St. Petersburg. Been around for about 45 years. Right on the beach, Clearwater Beach, rated best beaches in the world every year. So very beach casual. We catch our own grouper, we catch our own stone crab, right there right in the sand. The Clear Sky restaurants are a little more casual, upscale, cocktail menus. More a little bit higher level cocktail menus and solid wine lists, with great dinner menus. We do breakfast every day of the week as well. But so we also have a liquor store that's right on Clearwater Beach, and it's very interesting. It's probably the most interesting liquor store I know, because we're right next to a very large resort that's $600 or $800 a night for a room. So if somebody may come in and buy a $400 bottle of wine, and then the next person's coming in and buying a little nip of Fireball to head to the beach with. So you never know who's coming, and you never know what a CEO looks like in his board shorts and flip-flops, or hers. So
that's a good point, actually. Yeah. So you have so you're doing on-premise and off-premise,
yes,
right, through the liquor store, and then you have a wide demographic of people, ranging from executives to maybe vacationers and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, over here at the session, we've just seen an explosion of THC beverages. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you is because you're actually selling a lot of them through your restaurants. And what have you seen as far as the demand for these beverages? How has it evolved over the past couple of years? Because it seemed like here, boom, it's out of nowhere. We had a couple last year. Now there's 15, if not more, brands.
Yeah, absolutely. Before, we were hit by the hurricanes last year, so we were all shut down through at least Thanksgiving. If we reopened all the restaurants between Thanksgiving and February for the most part. So before that point, we had zero THC drinks at all. It wasn't even it was something we'd seen but not not familiar with, and didn't had no reason to really be working on it. And then when we reopened, it started becoming a little more popular, and people asking about it. So we started with one item in the liquor store, started with a couple of items, and we're probably up to about 25 SKUs in the liquor store now, where initially people came in, saw that you had it, and said, oh, let me try that, and ask a bunch of questions about it. Now it's to the level in just 6 or 8 months where people are coming in looking for it, and they know what they want, and they're familiar with the products. So it's just another option for people to have. And the past month, we finally put it on a feature list for the Clear Sky restaurants. So the 5 restaurants have a canned product that we're selling, and just seeing who's buying it, what they like, what people are asking about it. People still have a lot of questions. They're still not sure, and we need to educate our staff about it too, because they got to be able to answer those questions.
How are you doing that? How are you educating the staff on that?
Just door to door, each of the restaurants, going to shift meetings and talking to the servers. We've all got mass communications through our scheduling platforms or whatever. So, sending out messages about the products. Right now it's just one product, so it's pretty easy. But down the road, we got plans to put more on the menus, and it's going to be challenging. And how the bartenders manage it versus managing liquor, it's very similar. So
yeah. So you mentioned before, there's a lot of people coming in, especially to a liquor store. At first they were asking about it, now they're asking for it. They already know they're coming in. Who is the THC beverage customer, because this, and I know you got a really interesting story here that illustrates a point, but it's definitely different than I originally thought.
Yeah, me as well. I mean, I truly thought when we first started it, less than a year ago, that every person that came in was going to be all tatted up with a man bun and going to be, it just, I had this stereotype in my mind of who it was going to be. And it's everybody. It's 75-year-old ladies walking in the door and kind of giggling about, ooh, what is this? Is this okay? Is this legal? Can we do this? And, will it help me sleep tonight? To soccer moms, to everybody, the 20 to 29 Gen X group that, is not drinking alcohol as much per se, or are very aware of these products and learning and a big advocate of them. But we thought, one of the restaurants has an amphitheater right next to it, and they had a reggae show at the amphitheater. So in my mind, I'm saying, I got this. I brought 10 cases of THC cocktails, or THC drinks, the cans, to the bar that we set up outside where all the people are walking by before the concert. And out of the $3,000 in sales we did that day, we sold 4. And I'm like, I can't believe that. I didn't think 10 cases was going to be. I'm like, it's a reggae show. Everybody's going to be stop by buying them. And then as we're asking people who are walking by, they're like, no, I've got 50 and 100
Milligram.
Man, it's too early in the morning. I'm sorry. Milligram gummies in my pocket. I don't need a 5 or 10 milligram drink. So it wasn't the target audience at all, and I thought it was going to be. I mean, they're the professional that smoke and do gummies and aren't looking at this product. It's other people that are looking a way to relax or looking for the CBD benefits, any of those.
And that ties into what NIQ, what Kaylee spoke about yesterday, Monday and Sunday on her presentation, is that the main reason is to calm down, to relax, to chill out. And everybody needs to relax. And that's something that from asking around here, I've heard a lot of too. The power users, they're going to have their own stuff. They're going to do it at home, or they'll bring it with them.
Yeah.
But for the everyday user that maybe doesn't have a stash of stuff at home, they're just looking to get something for the evening or to relax. Something.
Almost replacing that glass of wine sometimes that used to be in the evening after you went home.
So you mentioned you have just the cans in the restaurants, and then what do you have in the liquor store?
So there are obviously other products that are meant to be made in cocktails. So nowadays is the big one. There are several others, but you can mix them to create any cocktail, a margarita, a paloma, an old fashioned, whatever you like. You can make non-alcoholic drinks with these products in it that taste very similarly. So on our next version of the menu, I'm planning on calling it Pick Your Poison, but you can order, let's say, 3 or 4 drinks at the top that are all boxed in, and order either a non-alcoholic version with a non-alcoholic spirit, because that's a huge part of our what's growing these days. You can order it the regular version with tequila or bourbon, whatever the spirit is that's in the drink, or you can order the THC version. So same price, all 3 drinks, just kind of lump them together and see how people perceive that and what their what the takeaway is and how many of each we sell.
Actually, I think that's a great way to do it, offering those 3 options. Pure NA with THC, or they can have the cocktail.
Yep.
So it gives them variety. And when are you doing that?
It'll be before the end of the year. We're working on cocktails at this point. It's going to take a couple of months to get the whole cocktail list underway, but because that's a pretty substantial change.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the cocktails do against just the cans, just drinking from the cans.
Yeah, and then we'll have cans as well. Now there's debate on the cans. Do you put them? Is there a non-alcoholic section with just non-alcoholic drinks, and do the CBD cannabis drinks or the THC cannabis drinks belong in there, or do they belong in with the seltzers and cider section on the beer? We're all figuring it out.
Well, that's a good point, because there are some people that consider themselves they're drinking non-alcoholic beverages when it's a THC beverage.
Yeah.
So they will, from the consumer side, they may consider that an NA beverage, but then on the retailer or the food service operator side, how do they refer to it.
Right. Yeah, and we have to treat it as because you have to be 21 plus, and you have to manage how many drinks people are drinking, and just like you do with tequila or pick any liquor. So we treat it as a liquor, but it really isn't, because there's no alcohol in it, and it's a little bit different. So we're all
so everybody's
figuring it
evolving
out.
at the same time, figuring out on the road, building the plane while flying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, in the liquor store, you said you had 25 different
Yep.
drink. Are they all cans, or are they a mix of cans and bottles?
We've got the cans, we got the bottles. We sell a ton of the 50 milliliter bottles, because then you can just take it and add it to your lemonade. You can add it to your iced tea or even soda, because the flavors are not very strong intentionally, and it just tastes like you're drinking lemonade. And then selling a ton. And we're a little bit different, because we're right on Clearwater Beach, and it's 95 degrees and hot as Hades every day. So people are drinking a ton of grab-and-go RTDs and seltzers. So this fits right into that. They just grab a can of, you name it, you name the brand, THC drink, and head to the beach. So, and then since we're in a resort area, they're also grabbing stuff to have before they go to bed at night. So they want something that's a little more geared towards that. There are some that have lavender in them and that are more calming and more soothing and have a higher CBD rate in them, so they're helping with your joints and your aches and calming down, and so there's a whole lot. And that's part of the education process for us, that the sales staff's got to know a little bit about if we've got different options.
And it's not like something you can prescribe and say this is. But a lot of people are drinking this who have these issues or whatever. But so what are the challenges in selling them and sourcing them?
There's an awful lot of products out there right now, so trying to figure out what the right ones are. I'll bet I've tasted since the beginning of the year probably 75 or 100 different products, and I'm a wine guy and a cocktail guy. I probably haven't smoked a joint since shortly after college, and you can tell with the gray hair that's been a while. But I've been testing all these to find out what's what with them, and there are some that are delicious. There are some I want to look somebody in the eye and say, "Who thought this was a good idea to try and market this? Because it's horrible." But just to find out what's good and what's not, what people are going to like. I think the challenge now is there's so many products out there, and people coming to you every day with new products. What separates your product from somebody else's? What makes it different? Why I have it? You see what I have here on the shelf. What do you have to add to that, or a spot that we're missing, or whatnot? And then the other end is people asking questions and not knowing, the consumer not knowing, and the people coming in, either the restaurants or the liquor store, spending a lot of time with them, talking to them and teaching them a little bit and answering their questions.
And what about this is something that I have kind of a little bit of knowledge about, but not that much, the legalities of it. Could you explain how it's different than, because I know Florida is medicinal cannabis state.
Right.
But how does this work in there?
So the legalization of the marijuana got shot down on the last vote when it was on the ballot for Florida, missed by just a smidge, and I truly believe the reason was because the legislation was written poorly, and once they figure that out and rewrite it, that it will pass, and it will pass easily. I think everybody's in favor of it. So these are Delta 9 drinks, so they're forms of hemp, and so they're a little bit different than cannabis itself. Where cannabis, I think you have to go to dispensaries. You need a medical marijuana card or whatnot. Where these, anybody can drink. You just have to be 21. Anybody over 21, I guess you could say. And like I said, treat it like alcohol. Pretty much the same thing.
Excellent. So what have you seen here at the session?
I've seen a lot of great products, a lot of new stuff. Kaylee with the Nielsen stuff, it was amazing because I went over and spoke with her afterwards. But what I feel like I've seen the change with the non-alcoholic and the THC over the last year was spot on with what she was saying. The industry, is in nationwide what it's showing. So that was comforting to know that we're kind of, a lot of times west coast of Florida, we're 2 years behind the rest of the country when new products come out, but not on this one. We're right there with it. So
that's great.
Just trying to figure out what the right thing to do is, how to be relevant with it, and have some new products for our people.
How do you see it evolving? This is a lot like the land grab that happened when CBD first came out and was getting big. And we had the same issues back then. Everyone's saying that they're the best. Everybody's saying that this is so unique. Nobody else has this. Where you really got to point out your point of differentiation, how you're going to support the retailer or the food service operator. But how do you see this evolving over the next couple of years?
I think I truly believe it's going to grow, and I think it's going to continue to grow at an exponential rate. It's right at this point, it's about, at the liquor store, it's about 3% of our total sales, which is from zero. 3% doesn't seem like a huge number, but from 0 6 months ago, that's a pretty big jump. And take that to the next 6 months, and we'll see what happens. We start selling them at the restaurants right next door as well, and then it just kind of snowballs. But I think it's here to stay. I think it's a great option. The beverage industry already has issues with wine sales being down for 3 years consecutively now and not headed in the right direction. The craft beer section has fallen off, but I think a lot of those craft beer people could be drinking this product.
Okay.
So I think it's as much as maybe you're losing a little bit of beer, you're just trading off to something shinier and newer and a new product. But I think people like the effects of the THC versus having one too many beers and being hungover the next morning. So it helps you sleep better and no hangover. What's wrong with that?
Yep. So what would be your recommendation to new brands that are out there launching and looking to either get on the menu or get on the shelves at a liquor store?
Yeah, it's hard to. We see so many people on our side that coming in every day blasting you with, "Hey, you got a minute? Can I show you something new?" Well, is it really new? It's new. Yeah, it's got a new brand on it, but it's the same old. So you've got to have something that's different than everybody else's, and you've got to have done your homework. Like I have spoken with the Nowadays guys at quite at length over the last couple of days. And they've been in the state houses figuring out what the regulations are in each state and helping write bills and pass legislation that makes sense. But on the good side, not like the cigarette guys in the old days who were just trying to make a buck. They're trying to make it so that this stays and that it's viable for years to come, and do it the right way. So I think that's a big part of it, is even the state's not understanding what's going on with it, and everybody, I think, has a better view of marijuana in general than they did 10 years ago, where it was, ooh, you get arrested for that and it's a bad thing. And now I don't think very many people in the world at all have an issue with people smoking marijuana. Maybe it's not your cup of tea, but for somebody else. And this is kind of bridges that. Like this gives you a lot of benefits of the marijuana side of things. And it's got some benefits over drinking alcohol at times. So it's,
and there seems to be less of a stigma.
Together. Yeah.
Right? Less of a stigma. I'm in New York, so it's a recreational state. There's a licensed dispensary literally 2 blocks from my apartment. People outside all the time smoking. It's completely accepted there, but sure, not everybody likes it. But I think the THC beverages don't have that same stigma that you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's you see someone just sipping on one. It's like, no, they're just relaxing.
Yeah, and nor should I think they should. There's nothing. Why would that be any different than having a glass of wine or a shot of tequila?
All right, well, it looks like a lot of stuff is going to be happening in the space.
Yeah.
I definitely got to get down to one of your restaurants next time I'm in Florida. And again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.